Hey friends, negative consumption externalities refer to external costs on society created by consumers consuming goods and services. A very common example of a negative consumption externality would be smoking. Smoking in public places creates health issues not just for the individual smoker, but also for other people who breathe in secondhand smoke. And this leads to health issues even among the non-smokers. This is a huge issue, especially in a population-dense country such as Singapore, which explains why in Singapore, smokers cannot smoke in common areas such as staircases or corridors. We call cigarettes a demerit good, and demerit goods are undesirable to consumers but overproduced by the market relative to what is social optimum. So this particular example of smoking in Singapore shows how negative consumption is an externality, because above the individual smoker's private benefit of consuming cigarettes, there is an additional spillover cost on non-smokers' health. Non-smokers do not choose to smoke or enjoy any benefits of smoking, but they incur a harmful cost on their health. So this particular diagram illustrates this example. Once again, we see how the socially optimum price is over here and the socially optimum quantity is over here. But we see that the free market is actually producing at a level that is higher than what is socially optimal, right? Your QM is higher than your QOPT. We also see how the marginal private benefit, basically the benefit enjoyed by the smoker, is higher than the overall benefit to society over here. The size of the externality is reflected as this gap between the MSB curve and the MPB curve, also this yellow bar. One key takeaway is that when there is a negative consumption externality, the free market overallocates resources to production of cigarettes, and too much is produced relative to what is socially optimal. In this diagram, we see how QM is higher than QOPT, and your marginal cost to society, so MSC, is higher than your marginal benefit to society, MPB, at point QM, which is the actual quantity that the market is producing. This results in a welfare loss, which is reflected in the graph as a shaded green triangle. So this is the second of two negative externalities you'll be covering in the IB Economics syllabus. There are two key takeaways to remember for negative externalities. The first one is that negative externalities always stem from an overproduction of a good, which results from overallocating resources to that particular good's production. In the earlier video's example of Trafigura, petrol is overproduced relative to what is socially optimum. And in this particular example of smoking in Singapore, cigarettes are the good that are overproduced relative to social optimal levels. And as a result, the welfare loss triangle always points to the left, as we see over here, because the free market is over-allocating resources to the production of the good. The second key takeaway to remember for this particular example of negative externalities is that negative externalities can result from actions by both producers or consumers. When discussing actions by producers, we discuss them in terms of cost because producers incur cost. So the MPC and MSC curves are affected while the demand curve stays the same. When discussing actions by consumers, like in this example of smoking in Singapore, we discuss them in terms of benefits because consumers enjoy benefits. So in this example, the MPB and MSB curves are affected, whereas the supply curve or the cost curve, as we see over here, remains unchanged in this particular example.